Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Ricky with Technical Solutions. Hope that you guys are all having an amazing Sunday. Today's December 13th. It's 6:31 p.m. here in Arizona. And I wanted to quickly go live and talk about some of the top 5 stocks that we might want to be paying attention to this week. I'm going to give it a couple of seconds for people to start tuning on in. Again, if you ever want to tune on in live, I host these live streams on Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time every single Sunday. So again, would love to have you here. Feel free to tune on in. Yeah, all you have to do is subscribe. Let me go ahead and share this very quickly with the people here on Instagram. So give me one sec. Actually, no. One thing that I wanted to do very quickly is actually... I like the gap up that we are seeing right here on MSTR. So Bitcoin obviously saw a huge push up to highs of 106, I believe. So 106, Bitcoin all of a sudden began to take off. MSTR reacted in a very positive way. And I love it, right? Because it creates a big gap up. I'm not going to go aggressive, but again, just going to take a very light position. For those that do not know, Webull now offers 24-hour trading. So I can actually take a trade right now. And you can see the timestamp, Sunday, December 15th, 6:33 p.m. If you want to download Webull, you can use my link. It's the 5th link in the description of this video, and you will earn up to 40 free shares just for signing up by using my link and having an initial deposit of I think it's $5 is all you need. Let me go ahead and put it here to turn on extended hours, and then I'm going to open up short. So let's see if it takes it. Aw, wait, what? I thought I was able to do it. I thought I was able to do it during extended hours. Am I not? Huh? Just 20 shares. Oh, is it not on desktop? Does it have to be on mobile? Let me see if I can pop it up on mobile. MSTR, let me look it up very quickly. I'm going to try to open up a short position. Obviously, use a limit order during these extended hours. Do 20 shares at whatever the limit price is. That's fine. Do 20 shares. No, it says orders cannot be placed at this time. Please try again during normal market hours at 9:30. What? Can you not short during extended hours? Would it let me buy? I don't want to buy. Huge gap down between. Are you kidding me? Was I lied to? I thought I thought this was gonna let me. I was like, oh yeah, I'll place my first overnight order during this live session. I thought that would be pretty cool. You cannot short on extended hours. You can only buy. Well, I definitely don't want to buy this one. Actually, isn't there an inverse ETF? What is it called? Is it this? I always said I wouldn't buy it. Oh, but this one isn't trading right now, is it? Yeah. I think I'm going to chill out. All right. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to do that one, but let's go ahead and jump right into it. So what's going on, guys? Happy Sunday. If you want me to break down your top stock, just feel free to share it in that live chat, and we'd be more than happy to break it down for you. So let's obviously talk about one of the big focuses that a lot of people might have. So I don't trade crypto myself, but I always pay attention to it because depending on how crypto is trading, there's specific stocks that will go up or go down. So anytime that I see a bullish reaction on Bitcoin itself, it normally acts as a positive catalyst for something like MSTR and stuff like that. Oh, look at that. SMCI. SMCI is down 10.2%. If you guys didn't see my video on Friday, I think I made, what was it, like 11K shorting SMCI on Friday of last week. Again, I recap my trades every single day. Feel free to watch the video. I made like 11K on this, but then I also lost 5K shorting Tesla. So it offset with like a 4 to 5K profit. So But yeah, SMCI incredibly bearish if you look at it on the 4-hour time frame, and there's still more downside potential as previous lows of 1725 getting removed off of the NASDAQ 100, and MSTR and PLTR are supposed to be the ones that are getting added. So especially with this huge Bitcoin push, I know that MSTR is going to be a really big focus for a lot of people. I know PLTR obviously being super trendy and super bullish right now, a really big focus for a lot of people. And obviously Tesla trading at all-time highs at $440 per share, a really big focus for a lot of people. Again, please understand the difference of a trade and a long-term investment. You buying at these extremely overbought levels, in my opinion, is a very unfavorable position to be in. You're buying at all-time highs, and any negative news can create or present a pretty significant pullback, especially at these overbought levels. And if the market does pull on back, you're going to get left bag holding that position at, again, those previous all-time highs. So just please make sure that you understand when it makes sense to buy a stock as a long-term play, or maybe when it makes sense to trade a stock while it's still bullish, right? Two very different things. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So we talked about Tesla, we talked about SMCI, we talked about MSTR, but let's break down. Oh, I'm down to talk about PLTR. So, I mean, there's really not much to say with PLTR since it's been, it kind of speaks for itself. It's been so incredibly bullish with higher highs and higher lows. There's no break of pattern. I've wanted PLTR to come crashing down because I do think that it's overbought, overhyped up, and overvalued. Nonetheless, it doesn't matter what my opinion is about the stock. It's incredibly bullish and it's incredibly hyped up. And price action continues to support this, right? News continues to support this. It getting added to the NASDAQ 100 is a huge milestone for Palantir. Again, it doesn't matter what you think of the company. It's incredibly bullish right now. Now, again, it's important to identify those overbought levels because there's these quick corrections that can happen. But as long as you take that into consideration, I think that you should be, in a good position. As of right now, higher highs, higher lows, no break of pattern. It would make more sense to be bullish than to be bearish on this when it comes down to trading it. Now, do I think that it's a good buy long-term at this price per share? Heck no, right? But as long as direction is favorable, taking it day by day and trading it, as long as direction is bullish and market sentiment is bullish, that makes complete sense. You don't have to overcomplicate your trading and try to jump into stocks that are, consolidating or pending reversals when something is actively uptrending. So again, I definitely do see why a lot of people are paying attention to PLTR. So yield curves suggest that the next recession is in a month or next year. Buffett went cash. Buffett's been cash. He's been sitting on cash for months. If there's anyone that's been bearish on the market, it's been me, right? But I will openly say that I agree that markets probably are very likely to correct themselves because of how inflated they might be. But every time that they correct themselves, there's always a trigger. There's always a catalyst. If you think back to 2019 to 2020, it was the pandemic, right? That was the trigger. If you think back to 2008, there was a trigger, right? It was obviously the housing bubble. If you look back to 2000, the dot-com bubble, there was a trigger there, right? So it's really important to understand that, just because markets are overextended doesn't mean that they have to come crashing down. There's often either needs to be a trigger that sends and instills a lot of fear into the market within a very short period of time. If not, the markets might correct themselves a little bit, but ultimately, they can continue this way for a long period of time. And again, 2024 is a great example of that. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. We got UAMY. Okay. What is this? So all of a sudden I see a lot of volume picking up. This thing pretty much was almost stagnant, and then all of a sudden it began to take off. Oh, this is a penny stock. This looks like a pump and dump. This would be a stock. I'm going to add it to my watch list. And the reason why is this is a stock that I would consider shorting. When I see catalysts like this that go and reach a double top within a very short period of time, go from 50 cents all the way to highs of $2, I'm sure there's a bunch of posts of what people are saying that, this is the new latest and greatest company. Anytime that I see something like this become extremely overbought within a short period of time, there's huge pullback potential. I would not at least for me. This has super low volume, so I wouldn't even short it myself. My position size would be a little bit too large for this, but definitely, I mean, I can see why you're paying attention to it, and I appreciate you asking a question about this, because all of a sudden it did begin to take off. So maybe it popped up on one of your scanners, maybe it was brought to your attention by someone else trying to hype it up. I want to remind you that stocks and plays like this, when you see obvious signs of manipulation, look at the trading volume the past week to 2 weeks versus before. Do you see that? That's a discrepancy, right? There's something happening now that was not happening before. So if all of a sudden whoever, owned the shares down here begins to liquidate up here, what do you think is going to get? What do you think is going to happen? Just like all those crypto coins and all those meme coins, a bunch of people, 99% of people, get left holding the bag, and this pump and dump will end up correcting itself. I'm not a big fan of this. Just because I don't trade it doesn't mean that you shouldn't. I'm just making you aware of why I like to avoid them. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. All right, MU. What's going on? How you doing? So MU is Micron Technologies. Yep, very familiar with that stock. So it looks like we're approaching previous highs of 105, 106, previous support of 98 to 97. So common support range, common resistance range. Again, patterns tend to repeat themselves. They don't always have to. The thing about Micron is I would see this to be possibly a long-term play, right? Because I don't know if that's what you're looking at it as, but I see there to be huge ROI potential, but it's showing a lot of signs of consolidation. There is no clear direction of, hey, this thing's all of a sudden going to break out. I have my alert here. I've paid attention to Micron before. So supposedly they have really exciting things coming in 2025. Price action does not support it. So they can say all that they want, but if demand and price action does not support it, I don't care what any indicator says. I don't care what anyone is saying about this company. If it's obviously consolidating, there is no clear direction. So because of that, I would say that this is a watch, not necessarily a buy, because I would hate to buy up here and then all of a sudden it drops, breaks support, and continues to sell off. Now, it'd be much easier to jump into this if it begins to break above resistance and actually begins to indicate signs of recovery, right? There's a lot of ROI potential, so why would I be in a rush to just jump right into it? I've made that mistake so many times of jumping into something, hoping for something to happen when all I really needed to do was stay patient, set my alerts, and wait for that confirmation, for that opportunity to present itself. So how do you like that Mara pump and dump, Rick? I think I don't like Mara, right? So why is it up? Is that why? Yeah, it's up 5.98%. I don't know if your comment was sarcasm. I don't like Mara. I was actually going to film a video about Mara today. It's one of 10 different companies that's pretty much, I don't even like MicroStrategy, because all MicroStrategy does is a software company that started buying Bitcoin. But it was kind of like the first one, and if not the first one, it was the biggest one to ever do it, right? So Michael Saylor is like obsessed with Bitcoin, and I kind of respect that. He is obsessed, it's his thing, and he's super bullish on it. I kind of respect that. I think he's a little crazy, but nonetheless, I respect it. He's going all in. He's putting his money where his mouth is. Even some investors are getting mad on how aggressive he's being. All these other companies that are trying to pretend to be like MicroStrategy, I would short the living life out of them. I will take it day by day because obviously Bitcoin is still incredibly bullish. Today's a great example. It hit new highs at 106. But again, time will tell. Mara is a complete piece of crap company, just like the 9 other companies that try to copy MicroStrategy. All they do is, just like their history, they pump and they dump every single time. They come up with new ways on how to manipulate their price per share to jump into new little schemes to be, trendy. They pump and then they dump. They pump and they dump. It's not an opinion. It's a fact based off of its history, right? So how do I like Mara? I love the potential that it offers to short the living life out of it because it's easy money, right? It's clear as day. They truly do not understand what they are doing as a company, and they will jump into anything to be relevant and to be trendy, to bring this type of marketing and manipulation to their price that always is short-lived. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of money to be made on these upswings if you get in early enough and if you know how to take profits at extremely overbought levels. But it's incredibly risky. And for me, I just like to wait for it to crash because I like to short it when it crashes. That's how I like to approach this. So I can't tell you where the peak is going to be, but once the peak presents itself, it's very easy to make money on the sell-off because it always comes crashing down. But again, time will tell. right? So excited to follow up with this one. But as long as Bitcoin is bullish, Mara will most likely try to remain bullish as well. And I think that's very well understood. So let's go ahead and do two more. Again, I don't want to take too much of your guys' time this Sunday. We have a pretty exciting week for this upcoming trading week. Bitcoin just hit new all-time highs, so there's a lot of money to be made, both on the long side and on the short side. So I know for all of those beginners that just joined LPP and that are excited to watch us trade live tomorrow, I'm happy to have you there. Just make sure you set your alarms for market open and we'll make it happen, right? If you guys aren't part of LPP already, it's the second link in the description down below. The current sell breaks it down to $1 per day whenever it is that you are ready to join. So Costco, let's go ahead and break that one down. I like it. Let's switch it up from these pump and dumps. And let's focus on a pretty consistent company. So is Costco a cheap stock? Is Costco a stock that I want to buy now long-term? Well, no, not necessarily, but I can see, again, why it's catching your eye. It's incredibly bullish over a long period of time. It's just not my cup of tea to buy something as it's at all-time highs. Again, they could be yours. There could be more money to be made, but there's always these little retracements. Even with something like Costco, I would rather wait for those retracements to be able to buy in at a cheaper price and make money as it recovers. So buy in at a cheaper price and make money as it recovers. But of course, this thing can continue to rally. So I do respect the idea of you just want to get in versus hoping for a pullback and then getting in at a lower price point that might not end up being lower depending on how high it goes before it actually retraces. So my big thing with this is I like that you're at least focusing your time and your attention in a stock that is bullish and consistent over a long period of time. I think focusing on companies like this ultimately, and for most people, will make you more money than focusing on stocks like Mara that are incredibly risky, especially when you're just getting started. If you get burned on Mara and lose 90% of your account, you're never going to want to trade again. You're never going to want to invest again. And it's going to completely discourage you to ever want to put any money in any money markets. And I think that just speaks volumes, right? Don't open yourself to a type of risk that you simply are not prepared for. So I'm really glad that you brought this one up. Let's go ahead and do one more breakdown. So let's do Adobe. I talked about Adobe already, so this is not going to be the one that I'm going to break down, but I talked about Adobe on my video on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. And I like Adobe with the pullback potential that it has. Its earnings were good, but obviously it's like buying when markets are fearful and selling when markets are greedy. As of right now, it's still uncertain if Adobe has reached its bottom, but I can see why myself and others are paying attention to it to see if it indicates signs of a potential reversal. So if you guys want to learn more about Adobe, what caused it to sell off and what exactly happened, I uploaded a video yesterday that breaks it all down for you, and I talk about the risk to reward when it comes down to something like Adobe. So let's go ahead and do one more. What's a good one? So do you have a video on your Webull setup? I do. It's also broken down for you. I've gotten this question a lot lately. People were asking, hey, Ricky, if I have no experience, can I learn by joining LPP? LPP is designed for beginners. So if you're a complete beginner, if you don't even have a trading platform, right? You don't know how to do any of this, LPP is designed for you. If you're not a beginner and you've traded for many years, then LPP is not designed for you. Like LPP is designed for complete beginners, where from the A to Z video lesson library on how to set up your account, everything that we talk about, to obviously maybe the live trading sessions are more advanced. And we have a lot of people that just sign up for LPP to get access to those live sessions, but it's all inclusive, right? So it's all included within that, within LPP, you get access to the daily live trading sessions, but you also get access to the lesson libraries. And again, it's the second link in the description down below. So let's go ahead and do ANET. Is that the one we're going to finish on? Let's see how it is. Okay, so I'm not going to finish on this one, but I like that you brought it up. You're focusing on a stock that's bullish, consistent over a long period of time. Do I think it's a buy right now? No, but if you're invested, I can see why you're paying attention to it. On the 4-hour time frame, look, there's always these retracements. During those retracements is when I would prefer to buy in, even if it came down to those swing trades. When it's making new all-time highs, again, it often corrects itself multiple times. It's not within my style to buy at highs. I like to buy on retracement and reversals. So let's go ahead and do one more. So CVNA. All right, how's that one been doing? I know that one's been quite lucrative lately, right? Is it finally peaking? Let me get a show of hands. Who thinks that Carvana is going to go through its same pump and dump cycle again? Is it just me? Do we think that Carvana is overhyped up and overvalued, or does it actually belong here? Do you guys remember Carvana? Carvana blew up during the pandemic or pre-pandemic. It was, acquiring a lot of different companies. They were doing exceptionally well. I mean, they were doing well. They just became too leveraged too quickly, in my opinion. And then, the world shut down. We went into the pandemic. People weren't buying anything. And it went from $376 per share down to $3.55 per share. Imagine that roller coaster of emotion. Now we've become so overbought once again, right? Let's do the quick math. You guys think Bitcoin's return is crazy? Within a year and a half, this thing has returned 3,100%. So 3,100% is what we've experienced so far. Obviously, a lot of pullback potential. In my opinion, I think it's only a matter of time for this thing to correct itself. Is there any confirmation of that? No. Very simple, right? It is still incredibly bullish. It's above the moving average. Price action is in the side of the bulls, but anytime that you see signs of consolidation like this, there's lack of progress, there's potential pullback potential, right? So just something to look out for. Nothing that you need to be super scared of. It's just, to me, I see this to be as a big opportunity to be able to identify an overbought reversal and make money on the downside if we get that confirmation. And there's a lot of stocks that have recovered since the pandemic, or a lot of stocks that have become super overpriced and overvalued within a short period of time that we don't know when they're going to peak. We just know that eventually they will, and they'll come crashing down. And that's where the money is to be made. So CPI also denotes that used car sales have increased, and there is a chance that it will run a little bit and potential pullback coming. Right now, again, incredibly bullish. There's no reason to short it right now. I like to be very open about both sides. I'm just saying about, what's the risk to reward? How much money could you make versus how much money you could potentially lose? I think at this point for Carvana, knowing its history, in my opinion, I've missed the rally already. I can't speak for you. Everyone has different risk tolerance for their investments and for their trades. But when I can see that this thing has recovered this much within a short period of time, I just don't want to be the one that buys up here, hopes that it continues to rally, and then has to experience all of this downside risk. The way that I look at it is it's kind of like the people that are just buying into XRP. I get asked, I don't trade crypto, right? So please do not message me about your crypto questions or anything like that. But people ask me, I kid you not, daily. People ask me about XRP and people ask me about Bitcoin. Ricky, do you think it's too late to buy Bitcoin? And the most simple answer, the answer is yes. You've missed the rally. The downside risk is so much greater than what you could potentially make. And it's not about but it could potentially go from $2.60 to $3.50. I agree. I do agree that XRP and Bitcoin can continue to rally. That's not the question. That's not the concern. The concern is, what happens when it goes from $2.60 per share back down to 50 cents per share? What happens with Bitcoin when it goes from 105,000 back down to 80 or 70,000? That's not unlikely. You can look at every previous pullback for Bitcoin, and it always pulls back at least 50%. So it's not an if Bitcoin will pull on back, but it's a when. And again, it's always the people that buy at these extremely overbought levels due to FOMO that get left holding the bag. I know a handful of people that purchased back in 2001 or 2020. Sorry, not 2001, 2021 or 2020, that they thought that Dogecoin was going to make them a millionaire. They thought that Bitcoin, when it hit highs of 60,000, was going to make them a millionaire. And they get left holding the bag. It sells off. It's a tough pill to tolerate. It's, an emotional roller coaster. And it's not for everyone, right? You should not just be buying because you feel like you are missing out. You should be buying, in my opinion, because it's a good deal. Or if you know how to trade and go with the trend, being able to get in and get out and make money off those scalps, great. But other than that, I think as of right now, and I hear this all the time, Ricky, this time it's different. Literally, they said the same thing last time. Oh, this time it's different. And again, there's no reason for us to go back and forth on why you believe this time is different and why I believe that it's not. I think every single time it's always the same thing. there's a lot of hope, a lot of manipulation, and a lot of false expectation of what has to happen. Do I believe that Bitcoin can continue to go up in value in the short term? Yes, I think Bitcoin can hit 110, maybe even 120,000 per coin. I'm serious, I do. But I think that's in the short term. I think long term, it will correct itself 50%. And I think XRP and all those shit coins will end up selling 80% once again, selling off 80%. I believe that, right? Just based off of what I've seen in the past before. You might think differently. And again, there's no reason to bicker. Put your money where your mouth is, right? If you are so confident that it's going to skyrocket, I wish you nothing but the best. And if it does go according to your plan, then hopefully you make your money, you lock it in, and I'd love to see you guys all win. But that's the biggest thing is I don't just want people to be going into anything. I don't care what market it is, Bitcoin, stock market. I don't care what you're invested in. I just want you to have a plan. I want you to have a plan for best case scenario. I want you to have a plan for worst case scenario. And that's the unfortunate part. A lot of these people that are trading crypto are only focused on this thing needs to make me super rich. They have no exit plan on if there's a break of pattern, if markets begin to retrace, where they're going to manage and mitigate risk. And that's the unfortunate truth about these markets. So I wish you guys nothing but the best. But in my opinion, these markets are overhyped up, over leveraged. And because of that, once those pullbacks begin to happen in the 20% mark, the margin calls will happen and we'll see the FTX thing all over again. So I appreciate your time. I wish and hope you guys nothing but the best. And again, I do not care if you're invested or you're bullish on whatever stock that might be overhyped up. I want you to make as much money as possible. I just want you to lock it in. That's truly the biggest thing. I don't care if you feel like I'm against you. I'm not, because you winning takes nothing away from me. And I want to remind you that we don't have to see eye to eye in everything. I just want you to have a plan for both best and worst case scenario. I wish you guys nothing but the best. I hope to see you for tomorrow's live trading session. And whenever it is that you feel like you are ready, it's the second link in the description down below. And you can join for as little as $1 a day. So I appreciate your time. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care.